The Ruth Price 911 call, a true crime box documentary, it began with a whisper. A trembling voice, older, fragile, but urgent enough to pierce through the static of a 911 line. "My name is Ruth Price," she said. "I live at, and someone is trying to get in my back door." The operator's questions came quick, practiced. "Is he there now?" "Yes, he's there." The pause that followed was long enough to freeze the blood. Then came the sound every dispatcher dreads, the phone slipping, a scream, and the brutal, choking silence of violence. On the other end of the line, the operator was still asking questions. But Ruth Price was gone. The first discovery when police arrived minutes later, they found the back door ajar, curtains trembling as if trying to hold their breath. Inside, the house smelled of lavender and fear. A trail of overturned furniture, broken glass, and blood led from the living room into the hall. And in the corner, the phone dangled from its cord, swinging gently like a pendulum, counting down the seconds of a life already slipping away. The call had lasted less than 3 minutes. But in those 3 minutes, an entire community's sense of safety collapsed. Ruth Price was 71 years old. To her neighbors, she was kindness embodied. The woman who always had a jar of cookies ready for visiting kids, who kept a tidy rose garden, who sat on her porch in the evenings to feed the birds. Widowed for nearly a decade, Ruth lived alone, her children grown and scattered across the country. Her home was her sanctuary. But on that night, it became a trap. The cruel irony was this: she did everything right. She locked her doors. She called for help. She spoke her truth with a clarity that should have saved her. And still no one arrived in time. Detectives walked the perimeter. The back door had been pried open with a crowbar. Shoe prints, muddy, size 11, trailed through the kitchen. A cigarette but was found on the windowsill, still warm when they bagged it. In the neighborhood, whispers spread like wildfire. A prowler, a predator, someone who knew Ruth was alone. The 911 tape circulated among officers, replayed again and again. Each time, the same dread crept in. Her pleading voice, the sudden silence, the operator's helpless repetition. "Ma'am? Ma'am? Are you there?" It was evidence, but also accusation. Had the system failed her? 2 nights later, across town, another woman called 911. The same words: "Someone is trying to get in." This time, patrol cars were nearby. Officers arrived within minutes, catching a man sprinting through the alley, crowbar in hand. His name was Charles Dunlap, 34 years old, a drifter with a long record of burglaries and assaults. In his jacket pocket was a keychain engraved with initials, R.P. Ruth Price. The interrogation room was small, the walls stained with the weight of confessions past. Dunlap sat hunched, smirking, hands cuffed tight. "You were at her house," the detective said flatly. "I was just looking for money," Dunlap shrugged. "Didn't mean for it to, you know." The detective slid a tape recorder across the table. Hit play. Ruth's voice filled the room. The fear, the breaking point, the scream. Dunlap's smirk faltered. His eyes dropped. Justice, for a moment, breathed inside 4 walls. The DA charged him with burglary, assault, and murder. The community gathered for Ruth's funeral. Neighbors, strangers, even officers who had replayed her last words too many times to count. They called her brave. They called her a warning. Her death was the reason patrol units were doubled in the neighborhood, the reason police response times were cut, the reason operators were retrained to listen for silence as much as for words. In that way, Ruth Price's voice never stopped speaking. She had called for help, and though she did not live to see it, her call changed everything. But justice has cracks. In court, the tape was played again. Jurors clenched their fists. The verdict was guilty, but appeals crept in. Misfiled cigarette butts. Shoe prints ruled inconclusive. Witnesses who vanished. And years later, Charles Dunlap walked free. The man who had silenced Ruth Price stepped back into the world. Months later, another 911 call. Another woman whispering, "Someone's at my window." Before she could finish, the line went dead. Police arrived to find the same story written in glass and blood. A window pried open. Size 11 footprints. A cigarette on the sill. It was Ruth's nightmare, replayed. And this time, no one could pretend it was a coincidence. 2 more women vanished before the task force found him. The crowbar glinted as he tried another door. Plainclothes officers swarmed. This time, there would be no loopholes. In court, Ruth's tape played again. Jurors wept. The gavel fell. Life. without parole. At last, the silence felt final. But Ruth Price's story was bigger than Charles Dunlap. Because Ruth had called for help. She gave her name. She gave her address. She gave her fear. And still, she died. Her tragedy revealed the cracks in a system that was supposed to protect her. In the 1990s, 911 operators worked from scripts. What's your name? Can you describe him? Seconds bled away while predators acted. Ruth's death changed that. Her tape became mandatory training. Listen for the silence. A dropped phone. A scream cut short. Send help first. Ask questions later. Protocols shifted. Patrol units dispatched faster. Ruth's scream became policy. Her case pushed technology forward. Enhanced 911 brought automatic location tracking. Mapping software replaced guesswork. Cell phone triangulation found callers before they could speak. Today, when a call goes silent, help is dispatched anyway. Because one night in Boulder, a woman named Ruth taught the world what silence really means. At vigils, her call is played not as evidence, but as memorial. Her children still say, she should have been saved. But if one more life is spared because her voice is remembered, she's still protecting others. And she is. Yet even now, thousands of 911 calls end in silence every year. Some are accidents. Some are tragedies. Some are Ruth Price all over again. The question remains, if Ruth dialed 911 tonight, in the world we live in now, would she survive? You've been watching True Crime Box. If this story gripped you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share Ruth Price's name so it is never forgotten. Now tell us in the comments, do you believe our 911 system is strong enough today? Should silence always mean immediate danger? And most chilling of all, how many Ruth Prices are still out there, waiting on the other end of the line? Comment below. Because justice isn't always about a conviction. Sometimes, justice is a voice that refuses to fade.